Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my amazing co-host. Hello, Bree Tucker.
What? You stole my line. Hello.
It's funny. I didn't even mean to steal your line. It just came out, and I'm like, that's probably why, because it's like your line.
You were trying to come up with like something interesting right there.
Yeah.
Like you started to sing, and then I feel like you lost your confidence in the singing.
I didn't lose my confidence. I was more like, I always sing. I want to do something different. And that's just what came up.
I know, right? And then you're hello, and I just sat here and stared for a second.
I'm
like, oh, what am I supposed to say?
I'm like, okay, so I majored in broadcast journalism, and one thing that all like people who came in, like reporters, complained about is when the anchor asked them like a question that they had no idea like how to answer or prepare for. And the reporters would be like, well, I don't know the answer to that question, but we can find out for you.
And then you would love to see the bloopers afterwards, I'm sure. Them just going like, what the heck was that, man?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, pretty much. It was, I entered at a news station too. And it was like that. They'll be like, I had no idea that was coming.
Yeah. Well, I'm a creature of habit. I like things being routine. That's what gets me. So
yeah. Well, today we are going to talk about disrupting the routine.
Oh, that makes me a little nervous. Gives me a little bit of tummy ache.
Well, we talk about routines all the time, but one thing we also have to examine as parents is like what routines actually are harming us. And in this case, the routine of stepping in and nagging and reminding and bribing to get our kids to do like what they're supposed to do, that's the routine that we're going to look at.
But you've got to keep in mind that those are very popular routines.
They are very popular.
Those are ingrained in parenting. Mm-hmm. And we learn them a lot of times from our parents. And then not only do we learn them from our parents, our best friends probably use them, our sisters, brothers, whatever. And we see it on television and media. Mm-hmm. So how could it not be effective?
Yeah, it's not effective.
No.
It's actually contrary to like here at No Guilt Mom, our mission is to raise self-sufficient, independent kids. And those things completely go against it. And like is one of the main reasons that parents aren't getting the independent, self-sufficient kids they want. And so we're going to dig into that a lot more. And we hope you enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by the Drama-Free Homework Checklist. Now, don't let the word homework fool you, because I know a lot of us are in virtual learning right now. And the things on this checklist, they are going to help with those virtual learning skills as well. So you can go get the checklist at noguiltmom.com/DFH-checklist, or you can find the link in our show notes.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Okay, so let's talk about this, Bree, and this whole idea of parents needing to step back to get more of what they want.
Right, because it seems counterintuitive, right? Mm-hmm. But like you and I both have plenty of examples of times where we wanted our kids to do something in a certain situation and they didn't end up doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the Eric in the laundry, which I've talked about on this podcast before, how like he refused to fold his laundry.
Right. And I have one that I find very entertaining, and people are going to have a hard time getting behind it, but it's an entertaining story, so I have to share. So potty training.
Yeah.
Potty training my oldest. So when I was in early intervention, I helped many, many families with different parenting things, including the potty training, and as well as I helped with my nephews too when they were little. But so when I came to potty training, I'm like, hey, I got this down. I know what works. And I'm going to do this whole potty training boot camp thing. And so for 2 days, I did the potty training with my son. And I'm like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to drink juice. We're going to sit in the potty. We're going to do it. And you know why we did it? Because that's when I had 2 days off. Like it was like over Memorial Day or something. So we did it with what worked for me and what I had planned. And first day went great. Second day, my son refused to go. And just the point is that when I tried to get him to go on the potty the second day, he just goes, no, mama, no potty, whips out his wee-wee and just pees right there on the floor. I was like, got it. Message received. No problem. So we stopped potty training. And I think it was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later, he just randomly started potty training and was like, okay, I'm good to go. Now, for those parents out there in podcast land that have a toddler and are doing potty training, yes, you have to have structure and routine. You are right. But that was an example of a time where I kept nagging him and controlling him and trying to get something going. And my toddler was like, no, I'm going to do it my way. And when I backed off, it was very successful.
Yeah.
So I love that story because, you know, how often does your kid do something to that extent where they like...
That was like clear message right
where
there.
They whip out things and just pee all over everything to prove to you that you can't control them.
Yeah.
That's a very extreme example, but I mean, it reoccurs so many times
That was
throughout
kind of
parenting.
like with the laundry situation because I said like he actually told me like you can't make me, and I never said I'd promised to fold my laundry. And so it was at that point like I backed off because I could not see a connection between like what he was doing was hurting the family. It wasn't. It was his laundry and it was his choice. And so we let it go for 2 weeks. And during those 2 weeks, I just watched him. And we noticed that, you know, the laundry kept piling up in his room. And then the next week's laundry, he had to borrow a basket from us. So now he had 2 baskets of clean laundry in his room and 1 basket by the door of dirty laundry. And so it came to the weekend where we're like, okay, here is the impact on the family. The boys taking all our laundry baskets.
Right.
And like we're now having to work around and find laundry baskets. So I'm like, okay, that's my in. And we're like, okay, you know what? You're taking all the laundry baskets. It's time to do the laundry.
And didn't he also like, you have to share the sock story.
The socks? Oh, because
that was so funny.
You always look for natural consequences when you step back because those are the best like teachers. Like the scolding, the nagging, reminding, like it doesn't do any good. But oh my gosh, get that natural consequence in there and they learn a great lesson. So we were running out the door for school and he's like, oh, I can't find socks. And I look at him and I'm like, oh, you can't find socks. And he looks at me and it's like it clicks and he's like, oh. And he has to go
digging
he had
through.
to go and dig through his laundry because he realized, like I told him at the beginning, I'm like, you know, folding your laundry, it helps you find things easier. And if you don't want my help right now and help me fold the laundry, then I can't help you find things.
Right.
And so that finally he was like, okay, I get it. And you know what? This weekend, all the laundry's folded. He did it.
Yeah. And he got his own time. He's motivated to do it now and you didn't have to nag him. But the hardest part was duct taping that mouth shut, huh?
It was letting go. And you know what? Even during the laundry folding, because as soon as he realized that he'd have to do it, he looked at me. He's like, can you help me? And I'm like, yes, I was always willing to help you. And we're folding laundry and all of these like sayings come into my head and like things that I knew I could not say to him. Like, doesn't it feel so good to have your laundry folded? Like, I'm like, oh, I need to be quiet on that one because he will push back against that.
He'll be like, no, it does not.
He's like, no, it doesn't. I'm going to prove you wrong. You're totally wrong. Because I mean, that's my personality too.
Well, I have to agree. No, but I also have to agree with that statement.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, no, I don't give 2 poops about how well my laundry was folded or where it was. I didn't care. As an adult, I like the order.
Yeah.
I like the order to the chaos. But as a kid, I enjoyed the chaos.
And I need to just like make one thing straight. The laundry is not folded perfectly in his drawers. Like it is folded by him. And if you opened his drawers, you would be able to tell it's folded by a 7-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not perfect. But you know what? It's progress. And the fact that now he's actually folding it and putting it in the drawers, that's like a moment to celebrate. And that's what we need to look for in our kids, the progress, not the perfection.
Right. Because think about that too, as an adult, that's what we need. That's what gets us through the day. We don't get things done perfectly every time, especially when we're learning new skills. So like, as an adult, I'm going to throw that to like learning to do something new, like here with technical with the podcast, like learning to edit the podcast. Oh my God, I wanted to pull my hair out. But every time I got something, going in a positive direction, I learned one new trick. Yeah. I felt amazing because it was the progress, not the perfection. And we just need to remember that for our kids, because if we expect them to be perfect every time, which I don't think we do as parents, right? We don't consciously.
Consciously, we don't. Our behaviors kind of communicate like that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something to check. So we're going to help you figure out like what behaviors in your kids you may be using these skills of like nagging, reminding, and bribing with, and then what to do instead. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays, because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
So this comes from a book that we love called Duct Tape Parenting by Vicki Heffley. Hopefully we can get her on the podcast.
Shout out to Vicki. Love your work.
So the first thing is that you need to figure out what behavior is kind of triggering you. There is this psychological concept called negative tracking, which I just learned about. And it's when we track all the bad behaviors and we don't notice the good. For example, if your kid comes and they're sitting at the dining room table, you're like, don't eat with your mouth open, use a fork. You're pointing out every little negative thing. It's called negative tracking.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. And it's the same in duct tape parenting. We call those behaviors weeds. Now, when those weeds are just appearing, they don't have the roots, they're little, they're small. If we ignored them, they might go away. But the thing is, we're not ignoring them. We're calling attention to them and we're focusing on them.
Because we think if we point out that negative, that they're going to be able to go in their lovely little children's minds, oh, okay. So what mom's really saying is if I just do this, it'll be okay. It also reminds me of an activity I've done before on the don't speak, but we'll get into that. I've done it with positive discipline, which is another reason why I love this duct tape. If you guys know positive discipline, duct tape parenting, it is the same road, people.
It is.
Just, I love her humor and honesty in it. So again, going back to the weeds.
So the weeds. So things like whining, if your child's whining, you've heard the typical parenting advice be like, use your big kid voice, or, I can't listen to you when you're whining. And does that ever work to solve the whining?
Hardly ever.
No, it never works. You have to do it over and over and over again. So that strategy, while you want it to be a weed killer to kill the weed, it's actually a fertilizer, and it's causing that weed to be dug in even deeper.
Well, one of the main points of that is if your child, because that's a big thing too with positive discipline as well, is that there's a belief that the child has that they need to do certain things to gain attention or for their place in the family. So if you're constantly pointing out that your child is whiny, they're going to eventually start to have that self-fulfilling prophecy of, oh, I'm the whiny one.
I'm the whiny one, yeah.
Right. And then also with the fact that you're also pointing out that behavior and that gets your attention. And we all know that your attention is the number one commodity that your child wants.
Yes.
They don't care if you're happy or sad. They just care that they have got your full undivided attention.
Totally true. I mean, did you have any behaviors you were labeled for as a kid?
Oh,
yeah. Deeper?
Yeah, I was the loud child of the family.
The loud one.
I was the loud, and I was also told that I had very poor attention span.
Oh.
So, not very poor. That's being overly dramatic. But I was told that Bree's distractible and Bree's very loud. And now here I am, 41, and I'll be at a football game and people move away from me because I can be so loud. And I've just come to the conclusion that I don't have, or for the most part, that I don't have an inside voice because that's my role in the family. I am loud and I am distractible and that's just me. But it really isn't.
No.
I can be quiet.
And loud, I think that you could shift those things too, because I don't see you as loud. I see you as the life of the party. You bring the energy.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes. So, as far as distractible, you're just interested in a lot of different things. And I think that's a good thing. You have an interest and zest for life.
It's interesting how, as a child, I felt like it was such a burden to bear. But as an adult, everybody I know is distractible to some extent. Hardly anybody I know is laser focused. And that's okay. But I saw it as a negative thing, and I was told it all the time. And then it was part of me.
Yeah. I had the same thing with my bossiness. So,
which I don't see.
I had a nickname, and my parents still kind of refer to me as Queenie because I always wanted my way. And it's true. I always want my way. And I'm like, doesn't everyone always want their way? But
right, at least secretly. We all want things to go our way.
Yes, we all want things to go our way. And I've also been accused of steamrolling things, which I'm like, oh my gosh, when I get accused that by another adult, I shut down and I see red, because so much of the thing with bossy, especially against women, it's used as such a weapon. But I feel like now I'm finally learning. Through therapy, I learned this, that to reclaim my bossy behavior, because it's not bossy, it's a boss and it's a leadership quality.
Right. That's what I would say. Again, when I said I don't see that from the whole time I have known you, I have always seen you as someone that will take charge, but also will listen to everybody. I have never once had that experience where I felt like that defines you. And it's funny because I just said with me, I'm loud and I feel like I'm loud and annoying to people. And you're like, no, you're the life of the party. So it's funny.
Those things you get as kids become your inner monologue as an adult. And it's only through conscious, trying to train yourself out of it do you actually start seeing yourself in a better light. And that's what's happening with kids with weeds, is that gets ingrained in them and it becomes their inner monologue.
Which brings to another little point here. Is that really what you want your kids to think about themselves?
Yeah, it's not.
Is that the message you want them to have? Yeah, more than likely not.
More than likely not, because they have so many more positive qualities than they do the negative qualities. But when we focus on those negatives, they never get to fully develop the positives. Now, just in case my parents are listening, there are a lot of positive qualities you developed in me. So please don't take this the wrong way.
And I love my
I just had to
family.
use one negative.
I love my family, but like you, they still call me the loud one.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
It's okay. Like as an adult, like we learn those things over time. It is okay. But I think like you and I tend to be a little more self-aware because we're in the psychology and the education field.
Yes.
And not everyone gets the same education that you're hearing right now on this podcast. Like you are probably more self-aware than others because you're interested in psychology and learning parenting skills.
Right. A lot of it does have to come with the background
Yeah.
and what I've chosen as profession and what I studied in school. Yeah, for sure.
So if we're looking at this long game, we need to really fully examine what we're doing to help our kids with their weeds, what's effective and what's not effective. So the current thought is that, to get a kid to do what I want them to do, I need to give them an incentive or I need to bribe them.
Yes, the good old bribe.
Yes. Or you put in some competition, like whoever can do this first wins.
Right. Or the reminding, which can also be heard as AKA nagging.
Yes.
Right?
Like I went into, because we do this work, I feel like I overthink my parenting a lot.
Same.
Yeah, I saw my son in his room and he was playing Roblox right before school and he was all ready and it's what he does. But his bed was unmade. And I go in there and I look at the bed and I look at him and I'm like, okay, how do I do this without nagging or reminding him? And the thing that I came up with is I just went and I put my face really close to his and I'm like, how do I talk to you about your bed without nagging you about it? And it was a serious question. And he thought for a minute and he's like, you can just ask me, can you make your bed? I'm like, okay, can you make your bed? He's like, I knew you were going to ask me that. Yes. But it turned into a conversation between him and I where he had an equal part in the discussion and it wasn't just me nagging him.
Right. I think that was really important about that. So talking about that, what does the nagging, what does the bribing, what does the constantly hovering over our kids do?
Well, first, it doesn't fix the behavior.
Correct.
It makes the behavior get more ingrained. And second, it's something that we have to do over and over and over and over again, which puts a lot of stress on us.
It's like living Groundhog Day. It is the equivalent of living a parenting Groundhog Day. You just keep going through the same motions every stinking day. And
Every single day.
You're like, come on, dude. I have bribed you. We have done competitions. We've done this. We've done that. Why is none of this sticking? And why? Because you're focusing on what's going to get you through the next moment, not what's going to get you through or what's going to teach your child those life skills that you wish that they had.
Exactly. Like in duct tape parenting, she calls them Band-Aid over bullet holes because you put a Band-Aid over a gushing wound and it may solve the seepage of blood for a minute or two, but then it overflows again. And that's what these behaviors are doing. It solves it for a minute or two, but it doesn't tackle the underlying issue.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused mini-game quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
Now, with that being said, it's not to say that there aren't times where you need a quick fix.
Yes.
There are times that you need a quick fix just to get through the next 5 minutes, to get through the next hour, to get through the next day. And that is like your mental health thing, and you just need to go with that. But the point that we're trying to make here, though, is that if we continuously keep doing that and focusing on the short-term goals, your children are not going to learn those life skills that you desperately want them to learn. And then it's going to start causing friction. You're going to be frustrated. A lot of times we tend to snap, or we're sitting there thinking to ourselves, why do our kids not appreciate us? Why are they not learning these things? And really the step back needs to be because, oh yeah, I never gave them a chance to figure it out.
Yeah. So you may be wondering, you're like, okay, well, if that's just a Band-Aid over the bullet hole, then how do we actually solve it?
Yes. The $1 million question.
Yes. So there are two reasons that a misbehavior or something is happening and how to solve it. One is just a lack of training for kids. Like this goes for chores, especially. They just don't know how to do it.
Oh, yeah. So like we had an episode with Katie Hurley over back in January, and she talks about how her daughter was supposed to make up her bed. That was one of her daily, I don't want to necessarily call it a chore, but it was one of her tasks to do, right? And she couldn't figure out why her daughter couldn't make up her bed. And she was like, why is this like so hard? It's just making up your bed. So one day she goes and she asks her daughter, hey, do you feel like you know how to make up your bed? And her daughter's like, no, not really. And so she's like, oh my God, because again, like when it comes to that, I would think to myself, yeah, making up your bed is easy.
Yeah, you think it's
you
easy.
see it and it's made up. It's 2 steps. Like you pull up your sheets and it's done. But your child may not know that.
Yeah, exactly. So lack of training is one thing. So if it's something that you're like asking on repeat, they may just not have, like, maybe it's even the skills to how to do it. Like right now, my daughter took over a new chore, feeding the dog. I have to say, she's forgetting to feed that dog a lot. A lot. And so that as a parent, like,
that's not something you can let him go for 2 weeks and not do, like the laundry.
Yeah. So as a parent right now, I'm kind of stepping back and I'm like, okay, what training does she need right now that is going to help her to remember to feed this dog without the nagging or minding? And it's something like I'm stuck right now in the messy middle in. I'm figuring it out. But I know through watching her and seeing like how she operates, we're going to figure out a solution to it where she gets it on her own.
So you're saying the first step with this lack of training is stepping back and watching.
Yeah, stepping back and watching. I am not reminding her. I am not nagging her. The most I'll do is our dog Addie. Like she's pretty vocal when she wants something.
Oh, I love her. Yeah, let's do our impression of Addie. Ready? That is Addie.
That is Addie. So she'll come and look at you and I'll be like, oh, are you hungry? And then Camden will hear me and she's like, oh, right, I need to go, because she cares about it. She just, it's not on the top of her mind.
It's a new chore. She needs to find a new system.
It's a new chore. So lack of training for that one. Now, another reason that you might have to be scolding and nagging and reminding is that some relationship building is needed. And that is usually in cases where your child has back talk or if they're fighting you on everything. It could be a case for relationship building. And this is not the same as like quality time. This does not mean like, oh, we have to play more board games together or we have to like do more things as a family together. That's not what it means.
Well, and I think it's important to note that. So, I mean, we're not saying that relationship building isn't doing that kind of stuff, but that when it comes to figuring out parenting answers and in general anything psychology based, a lot of words have more than one meaning. A lot of phrases have more than one meaning.
They do. In this case, relationship building is teaching stuff like problem solving skills and conflict resolution and what to do when you tell someone you're upset and how to handle emotions. That's the relationship building skills we're talking about. And
right.
Those could be hard to teach sometimes. It's the best just to have conversations with kids and involve them in decisions.
And I'm sure all of us can pause and take a moment and think of one other adult that we interact with in our life under some capacity, work-related, friend-related. Maybe it's our neighbor, maybe it's our in-laws, brother, sister, whomever, right? That doesn't have those relationship building skills, right?
Yeah. I could think of former bosses. Yeah.
Right? And you're just like, oh man, I really wish someone had paused to teach them how to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So
Like just think of the adults who are like demanding and like say like it's my way or the highway and aren't willing to compromise with people. Like those are people who were in desperate need of relationship building skills as kids.
right. So like the big thing here is cover your mouth with duct tape.
Yes.
Strap those pretty little hands down next to your body, whatever it takes to kind of back up and not jump in.
Yes, because if you feel the need to scold or remind or bribe, that's the way to step back and know that not every problem needs to be fixed with your child. It does not.
Yes. Hallelujah. 100% emphatically. Woohoo!
You can ignore things. You can ignore things and they will not take root. Ignore some of those weeds. Like if it is something that does not put the child in danger physically or emotionally like disable someone else, like if it's like a really mean, hateful comment, of course, like you
Right.
might have to step in there. But if it's like a little annoyance, like maybe they're sneaking a little snack before dinner.
Or maybe they weren't so nice to one of their friends when they were talking to them.
Or maybe they have a little bit of bossy behavior on the playground. Ignore it because they are going to get natural consequences for that. That is going to be so much more effective at solving it than scolding, reminding, and nagging. And you get to keep your relationship with your child intact.
Yes. Which is the most important thing. Your child and you are on the same team. So just keep that going, man.
Yeah, so hopefully we've caused a little bit of thinking to go into how to handle like pretty typical parenting situations. And you may have a bit of pushback. You may be like, oh my gosh, no, if I stop scolding, reminding, and nagging, no, my child is they're gonna like take over the whole house and never do their homework again and live in a van down by the river.
That's my favorite thing because that's where they always end up, right? Like in our mind, if you have an anxiety thought process, which many of us do, especially many of us moms, because we feel like it's our job to hold the entire world together.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we give you the permission that it is not your job to do everything in the family. Doing everything for everyone in your family is not the way you show them love.
Exactly.
It is okay for them to learn to do these things. It's not only okay, it's probably what you actually want.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And something that actually I was hiking with a friend this weekend and she said that she has a mantra she tells herself. She says that, you know what? I've tried this way. It hasn't worked. I'm going to try a new way.
Yeah.
So if you've been trying the scolding, the nagging, reminding, and it doesn't work, try the stepping back and not saying anything and observing more than talking.
Right. Try the duct tape.
Try the duct tape and get like different colors of duct tape and just like think of how you can accessorize with duct tape yourself to the floor, duct tape yourself to a chair, like metaphorically, of course, but don't step in and it's going to be hard.
All right. But we believe in you.
We
You got
believe
this.
in you.
You have got this.
So, hey, if you want to hear more or if you have an idea for a podcast episode, please, we want to hear from you. Email us at hello@noguiltmom.com. And while you're here, can you subscribe to this podcast? And you'll get a new episode every Tuesday and Thursday waiting for you.
Feel free to share some love, give us a rating, leave us a review. We love them.
We love them. So until next time, remember the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll see you later.
And thanks for stopping by.
Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday who was pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.